Trash Can Fam, we need to know who you are.
Hey everybody, we're getting into the fall season, so we got all kinds of exciting topics coming up. We thank you for sticking with us so far, but this winter, what are we going to get into? Who knows? It's going to be family traditions around Thanksgiving time, 4 Christmases, and all those adventures. What else, babe?
The election.
Oh, the election.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about the election on our next episode. We weren't going to. We were going to remain Switzerland, but you're going to hear all about it.
We're not going to be telling you our political ideals, but we're going to talk about elections. We're going to talk about the candidates. We're going to talk about all the fun stuff that's coming up. So be sure to check it out.
All right. So this is episode 6 already, babe.
That's hard to believe.
I know.
It really is.
Time flies when you're having so much fun.
It's just crazy how much, it's been a wild ride already, just a couple episodes.
Yeah, it has.
So, yeah, I'm ready.
And so one of the things that we happen to work into every single episode, whether you want to hear about it or not, is
food.
Yeah, food.
We've always talked about it. Everything that we talk about, I always reference back to food. Of course, I have a whole joke.
Yeah.
One of my biggest, longest jokes is all the different things of how food incorporates into my life.
Yeah.
Food parables, sugar pies, all that stuff. But but I'm saying, so obviously I incorporate it into everything. Into every story I tell, I think about every trip that we take. Every single time that I leave the house, I spend the majority of my day thinking about food. Like, if it's not work.
You heard that, guys. Food, not me.
No, of course. I think about what I'm going to eat. Before I eat, I have spent probably 4 hours of debating in my head, going back and forth about what to eat, what not to eat, all that, what I'm looking for. It becomes everything. It's actually ridiculous. It's probably a little borderline psychotic. Because, just for example, when we go to eat places, I get analysis paralysis when it comes to food, and I can't decide. So it's like, my brain can't say, we will come back here again. So it's like, how can you get everything that this place offers in one sitting?
Right. So there's a cure for all this food noise, and it's called GLP-1. And I'm on it, full disclosure.
I know, but I like it, though.
No. But what I'm saying is that now that's lessened a little bit, because you order what you want, I order what I want, and then you get half or 3/4 of mine plus whatever you want.
Right, and you like stuff that I like. So
yeah, we like.
Very seldom do you order something that I don't really care for. For example, though, that sub that you got or something, it had avocado on it. What was it? A wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of avocado. I like avocados. I love guacamole. I like avocados, but I don't like them on sandwiches.
Right.
I don't like mushy texture on my sandwich. I like crisp.
Crunch. Oh, so before we get into that, I do want to do a real quick callback to the last episode. We are starting to get fan mail, babe.
Really?
Yeah, we are.
What they talk about?
They like the episode. They like what we're doing. There's a couple spammers that want to help us.
Oh, well, of course.
Edit our stuff. But what I'm saying is, I'm still learning, so I don't know how to respond back to the fan mail that we're getting yet. So just know that we see it, or I see it, and tell Scott about it. So we hear you. Thank you. And thank you for the reviews on, all the apps.
Whoever's in Louisiana listening. We haven't figured that one out. But shout out to you, because you're a frequent listener.
Yeah, whoever's in Louisiana or bouncing out of Louisiana, we see you.
I don't think it's a VPN, because it's consistently in
the Louisiana area.
Usually if it's a VPN, it's all over the place. So we would have random ones. But regardless,
I'm with you. But so you were talking about sandwiches.
I sure was.
And you said that you like a crunch on your sandwich. So we're going to go down all the food rabbit holes today. But there's a slight chronological, did I say that right? Chronology to it. So I want to start with like kind of, you're from, what would you say, South Central Pennsylvania?
South Central Pennsylvania, represent.
And I'm from Greater Southeast Pittsburgh.
No.
Just kidding. I'm from Johnstown.
Right, which is Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
it's
Western
right in the heart of Western Pennsylvania. Because it's like in the middle, it's like, you know what I mean? It's definitely Western Pennsylvania. I always say, so if you travel from where I'm from, like Franklin County, Pennsylvania, Chambersburg, Waynesboro, that area, and you're driving to Johnstown, I assume you're taking 30. But once you cross the mountain, once you cross down into Breezewood, that I call that mountain, like Sidling Hill, the Great Cultural Divide, because that's where it's no longer part of like the Mid-Atlantic region. It becomes the Midwest, and Western Pennsylvania I lump in with the Midwest because they have much more in common with, like Ohio, Indiana.
Yeah.
Like what you would consider like Midwest, because they just in their attitude, in the way that they talk, and more importantly, the foods that they eat.
That's exactly it.
Because it's crazy. You can take a 2-hour drive from, where I'm from to Johnstown, and immediately you see things that you might have heard about it because there is a little bit of crossover. Certain things, like obviously, I never heard of pig in a blanket as what people in Johnstown, which is a cabbage roll.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things that I got made fun of for when I was younger, when I left Cambria County and went to Franklin County and made friends. Part of that is cooking. And the one day I'd made the comment that it was going to take me all day to make pigs in the blanket. And they thought what you thought. That
it was a hot dog wrapped in a biscuit.
Yeah.
What Pillsbury.
It does take me all day to do that too, but that's because I'm a perfectionist.
Those are delicious though.
They are.
I'll be honest, they're my more favorite pig in a blanket.
Yeah.
If we're having a tournament of pigs in a blanket, hot dog and a fucking crescent roll wins every time. But I do like the regular pigs though.
Right. And if you're not familiar with what a pig in the blanket is, it's Polish or that region, Hungarian. And the official name is halupki, depending on which language you're using. Halupki. There's halupki, not to be confused with halushki, which is just
which is delicious.
Fried cabbage and noodles.
One of my probably, if I was picking foods that I never had before till I came up here, halushki is definitely, at the top of the list. It's just fried cabbage and noodles. And it's delicious.
There are two camps of thought on whether or not there's also fried onion in there.
I can go either way.
Yeah, I like it both ways.
I don't get angry at either way.
But a pig in the blanket or a halupki is it's hamburger, sausage. If you're a traditionalist,
I would like it with sausage, but
some of them put lamb in it. But so it's a mixture of meats and cooked rice and seasoning, garlic. Garlic is everything. I think I put garlic in my cheesecake. I'm not sure. But so, and then you roll all of that up into a cabbage leaf and tuck the ends in, and it looks like a cute little.
It's a cabbage roll.
Yeah, it's a cabbage roll. And then you cook it in the oven in like a tomato-based sauce. Now, my mom's pigs are, according to friends and family, the best ones around. And she uses ketchup and sauerkraut. And that is it. And garlic powder, salt, and pepper. So that's her secret. Oops, Mom. We got to carry the tradition. But anyway, so that's the kind of foods that I grew up on in Western Pennsylvania, was what we call hunky foods, which are, hunky is where honky came from, actually, but it really means Eastern European.
I just want to say that the best, though, is when you go to a family function and there's, speaking of halushki, and there'll be 5 different varieties of halushki.
Yes.
That's the best, because then you're trying different ones. And, you know, honestly, there's so many different ways you can go because there's so many variations of noodle that you can have.
Yeah.
That's where the real difference comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Is the ratio and the kind of noodle. Because you can have skinny noodles, wide noodles. I've seen it all, homemade noodles. You see it all sorts of ways. And there's nothing better than showing up and there's 5 different kinds of halushki.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have to like bat this back and forth because I don't want to lose track of some, but I don't want to go down the Pennsylvania Western tangent. When you talk about variety, one of the things that I had never heard of until I went over to Franklin County was chicken corn soup.
Chicken corn soup, which more comes because Franklin County, because it does sit in the central portion of Pennsylvania, has easy access without crossing any mountains to get to all of like eastern Pennsylvania, like the Dutch country.
Right.
So it's like, you know, a lot of those foods. So you get this, in particular, this like mix of German, Pennsylvania, Dutch cooking, some Western Pennsylvania influence, and then also some like what I would call mid-Atlantic influence. In the cuisine there, as if Franklin County has its own cuisine.
I mean, it kind of does.
Every place does, though. Every place is a blend of the places around them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what makes food great. But food is also like a great representation of a culture of a certain area.
That's absolutely
so that's why it's important to like me is you get a feel for, and especially like if you stop at places, and we always try to do this when we're traveling. When you stop at places that are unique to that area, then you get a feel for not only the food, but the people, what's happening.
Yes.
There's nothing better than to slide into a place like that and you get the total vibe of like the town or whatever.
Yeah. We used to have, they were called old-fashioned bargain days way back in the day, like in the 80s. And I just remember all of the church ladies would each gang up in their church basements and
Isn't that special?
and all the moms would get together in the kitchens with the grandmas and everyone would have their own booth at the old-fashioned bargain days with all the Eastern European foods. There's a lot of Polish, a lot of Greek folks in Johnstown, a lot of Hungarians.
A lot of ethnic whites.
Yeah. Again, Eastern European.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You don't get that breakdown. Like once you cross over into certain other areas, you're just white.
Right.
There's no break. They're not like, oh, they're that. Well, Italians, but they're their own thing.
Yeah.
But like up here, there's like people, there's like, you know, I never heard of a Slovak club. Or a Polish National Alliance or some shit like that. That sounds like Hitler camp.
but really, it's just a place to get really cheap beer and hang out with some cool people.
Like a VFW or something like that. But I'm just saying, like, there's no reference to any like Eastern European thing. There's no like Hungarian National Association.
No, I didn't have to take an oath of alliance to join the PNA, although I do have a lot of Polish blood in me, so I am one of the OG. No, I'm joking.
But I'm just saying there's no breakdown of like there's much more, like you said, Eastern European influence here in the terms of like ethnic, like Slavic stuff, Polish stuff, Greek stuff, whatever.
Yes. And like,
Italians.
Well, so the other thing that they all got together and made, so we talked about halupki, which was always on the menu. Halushki's always on the menu. Gobs, which crack me up because if you go east of the mountain there, Sadling Hill, then you're going to hear them call it whoopie pies.
Right, because that's the like Amish influence. That's where that all comes from, like Pennsylvania Dutch country, which is also known as the pretzel belt or the snack capital of the world. People,
the world.
No, it is. I mean, you're talking. It's.
And we talked about that a little bit in the first episode, but we forgot to mention the candy companies too, because you've got like
you got like Hershey's,
Boyers. Remember when we took a drive in that one town and like
It was in Elizabethtown. It's the Dove chocolate plant.
Yes. When we drove into the town, we kept sniffing chocolate through
Yeah,
the
the whole
window.
town smells like chocolate. It was amazing. It was so
It's
crazy.
the best
I've never
smell
experienced
ever.
anything like that in my life.
It smelled like...
It smelled like how you would imagine Hershey smelled at one point in time.
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't anymore because it's like...
Because they're a more modern
plus it just sits like away from stuff. Yeah,
sure.
And for sure. And yeah, and that. But you in Elizabethtown, that was amazing because we're like, what is that?
So good.
What does that smell?
Yeah.
Is that chocolate? It is. And then we looked it up and boom, there you have it.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I also want to go back to, you mentioned chicken corn soup, so not only do I love food, but you also know that I love to cook food.
Yes.
Like I obsess over it, always have. And, but I remember the first thing, now obviously I had made things, eggs, stuff like that. But the first thing that I ever tried to make like on my own, where it was my idea to be like, I want to make this thing, was I wanted to make chicken corn soup because we had a recipe in school. Because we were doing like, I don't know. So I don't remember what
like
it
in
was.
home ec or whatever.
No, this was elementary school.
Oh, wow.
We were just doing it. You were encouraged to go home and make like something with your parents, but it was like, I think it was like, I don't know if it was a Thanksgiving thing or what it was, but I picked chicken corn soup, and of course I didn't want my mom to help me, so I was like, I'm doing it on my own, and that was the first thing that I made, and then I continued to make that, and it became award winning.
So award winning.
No, it did. It won an award in a soup cook-off.
I won third place in a chili cook-off at work one time.
I also won.
Because I used your smoked meat in the recipe.
I also won a baking contest one time with Grandma's monkey bread.
Grandma made it?
No, I made it, but it was her recipe.
It was her recipe.
Yeah.
I love that. But so your chicken corn soup, again with the variations, do you put hard-boiled eggs in your chicken corn soup?
Well, here's the thing is I used to not to, but then when I tried it, I love it so much that I put them in there now.
Yeah.
Mine is I call mine fully loaded chicken corn soup because it's chicken, corn, obviously, rivels. I put a little carrot, celery, and onion in there. I put hard-boiled egg. So it's like fully loaded. Some chicken, that's the thing is you talk about variations.
Yeah.
It could be just straight chicken and corn. I like them all. I'd eat any of them. That and a pork patty. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. But speaking of sausage, let's talk about when we first got together. I'm not going to talk about the first dinner that I made you, but it was a pretty good one.
It was the first time that I do not like green beans. I don't care for them.
I fried the green beans.
Yes. Fried in olive oil, and I think you added almond or garlic too.
Garlic, almond, and onion, actually.
So that's the only way I like green beans now because I really don't like them anymore.
Yeah, fried green beans are delicious.
But sausage.
Yeah. So just two funny stories. She talked up this sausage. She talked up all this sausage gravy all week when we first got together. And then finally we had it like a week later, and when she made it, it was lumpy, and everybody's like, this is lumpy gravy.
I mean, I have never lived that down in 16 years. You have,
because I haven't even brought it up in like 10, so.
No, but every time we see Jimbo, he brings it up to whoever we're with.
Well, then also he brings up another sausage story, which is the time we're talking about a friend of mine, and we always have, cookouts, parties, barbecues, whatever. And we always, go over the top on food, way over the top. Make way too much, make way too many things. But regardless, we become known for having like a full spread at our events.
And most of it we cook ourselves. We do. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying people never bring anything. People always contribute, but we're just control freaks and we love to cook. So we do most of the food.
Right. And she made these sausage balls that she makes with like Bisquick sausage, and they're good, cheese. And she made them, and I like tried them, and I like was like, I could make these better. And then I took it and I threw it in the trash. I've never lived that down.
because his anger was misdirected. It had nothing to do with the sausage ball, and he can't make better sausage balls than me. I've come up with new variations. Oh, that's a good idea. We need to have a cook-off one time where you and I make something and have people come judge us. And my brother can get on. Well, that's the other thing, too, is we are blessed.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out on YouTube,
at Gilded Trash on YouTube. And check out the website. I've been doing a little bit of maintenance under the hood to make it fancier. Links to all of our other external applications.
Yep, you can find it all there at gildedtrash.com. Oh, all right. Yeah, now there's also lots of things that like we've gotten into, like since you and I have gotten together. Like I've gotten into smoking meats. You got me my first smoker. Did your parents give me my first one, or did you give me my first?
I think my parents got you
the first
your
one.
Very first one.
Yeah, and then we, then I just kind of became famous for it. My barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, in the family and friends is what I'm saying. Not famous, but I'm just saying, like, when people come to our house, they expect that I'm going to be smoking something.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And so it's like, that's become like kind of a passion of mine. I got my brother into it.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say is we're actually very blessed to come from families who have really amazing cooks in both sides.
Yeah. I mean, sure. For sure. I mean, a big part of where I learned a lot of stuff was, cooking with my grandma Reed, because she always she was like an old hillbilly cook. You know what I mean? Good stuff.
I
butter,
love that you
cast
said
iron,
that.
Butter, cast iron, and fire.
No, because I think that's where you got your. So I tease Scott a lot because he has a preference for what I refer to as old people meals, and one of his favorite old people meals is fried spam and hominy. And I had never even heard of hominy. I didn't even know what that was.
But that was a meal that I grew up eating. That came more from my mom. My grandma didn't eat spam and hominy. But like the old lady food, I would say probably came from Grandma Fligel, Myrna, Mom, all that side of the family, because there's a bunch of old ladies on that side of the family. You know what I mean? No, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way.
But they all make that old school, like just very traditional, whatever they grew up with. And we both
come from families who very much incorporate food into their events, as I'm sure a lot of people do, that are, in our generation. So every time we were around each other, somebody was cooking or baking or doing something like in the kitchen,
Even down to the snacks, the love of snacks that I have comes from my grandma was a snack pusher. My grandma Reed.
Yeah.
What am I doing right now? Smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee. No, I'm not right now, but I'm just saying smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and eating potato chips and pretzels while you read or watch TV. And just fucking bullshit.
Yeah. My mom's was popcorn. And so obviously I came into the world before the microwave. And so my mom made popcorn on the stove the traditional way, which I still love to do. We've had air poppers. We do microwave popcorn every once in a while. But I love to make stovetop popcorn in a skillet with some oil and do it that way. And she made it like every night.
Grandma then passed her love of chips and pretzels and stuff. Well, like, again, we come from where you have so much variety, so many choices of the best snacks in the world. And back then, they weren't everywhere. Utz wasn't national.
Right.
Utz was,
you had what your locals were.
Yeah. You could get from like a little, probably a couple 100-mile radius from like where you live, but that was about it. And
so you had Martin's then?
No, we ate Gibbles.
Nibble with.
We ate Martin's too. We mixed it up. We weren't a one-chip family. We didn't.
You spread the love
for sure, and I still do. It's like how I eat pizza. I don't want the same thing every time.
He's so DEI on snacks that his favorite snacks are wrap snacks.
But no, what I was gonna say though was Dad then loved chips. So we when we were kids, we just a whole big bag. We would crush bags of chips.
Yeah.
Like regularly.
Well,
whole big bags.
That's a good time to bring up the fact that my grandfather on my mom's side was a Tasty Cake driver. He owned
Tasty Cake, another great Pennsylvania treat.
Yeah, he owned his own Tasty Cake route. And so I grew up literally living off of Tasty Cakes, literally, you know.
And that's why we're both
clearly. That's exactly it.
Not Tasty Cakes for me, but other stuff.
Right, his snacks, my snacks. And we both come from food pushing families, and your grandmother lived during the Depression, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely people that are grandparents were in the Depression. The grandchildren of Depression families
are food pushers.
They get food pushed on them is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because their parents aren't necessarily food pushers, but they come from food pushers.
Right.
So that when you're visiting your grandparents growing up, if you're the grandchild of a Depression family.
Eat.
Right. That generation is like, you know.
Right.
Which is why, also we lived through the explosion of fast food. So if you're born from like say 75 to like 85, that's the explosion of like all the different varieties everywhere of fast food. Right. Fast food begins like in the 60s and 70s, but it becomes huge in the 1980s.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's when it explodes. Because the explosion of television, that's really what it has to do with. The explosion of television and advertising leads to this huge boom in, well, not only but like fast food, but like chain restaurants, like this food culture.
Well, you found out a fun fact today that ties right into that about the first ever commercial.
Yeah, Burger King was the first first person. Burger King was the first company to advertise a sandwich on television.
There you have it, folks.
And there you go. That's it. In the 1960s, actually.
We're going to educate you.
When they were Insta Burger King.
It's not just about Scott and I and you listening to our stories. We like to throw in some actual facts.
Well, because I love the show. I love food shows. This is a good time to talk about that. So not only do I love food shows in the sense of like diners, drive-ins, and dives, which we've visited many of those.
Yes.
We do a lot of food tour. We don't specifically do food tourism, but anytime we're going someplace, I'm finding every restaurant that's ever been on TV because I'm going to pick the one that I want to go to or whatever, multiple, whatever.
So if you're keeping up with our historic episodes, our dream tourism package includes food, music, a good murder, and some paranormal shit going on.
Yeah, this is all exactly every trip we've ever taken is the subjects that we're talking about.
Yeah. And
I
now
just remembered, though.
We're now layering comedy.
Do you know what I just remembered? The name of that convenience store in Ohio? Pettit's.
Pettit's.
And the only reason we're bringing this up again is because the other day we were trying to think of this, and I could not, for the life of me, could not reach into my memory and pull this name of this place out.
Why were we talking about it, though?
I don't know. Something it doesn't matter. Because we were talking about doing the episode coming up and stuff.
Oh, right.
Another good thing that what were we just talking about though? What were we going to get into? Oh, TV shows.
Yeah, TV shows.
So, and we were talking about what we do on trips. Not only do we love like TV shows where like they review food, where it's like, diners, drive-ins, and dives, that kind of thing. But I love shows like Food That Built America, about the history of food, of the history of companies, and like the Kellogg versus Post Wars and Heinz versus everybody else. And it's interesting.
They were like
ruthless. Heinz wants the ketchup manufacturers. Heinz didn't want this is my favorite story. Heinz didn't want the other ketchup manufacturers like competing with him. So he bought up all the glass jars in all of surrounding Pittsburgh, put them on a giant barge, and took them out and sunk them in the middle of the Ohio River so the other companies couldn't make ketchup.
It was like the ketchup revolution.
Can you imagine a company doing that now? That'd be wild if you heard about that. KFC bought all the chickens and sent them out in a big ship in the middle of the ocean and just
drown them all.
Like,
oh my God.
Holy cow.
That's crazy. But so when cooking shows first came out, much like cooking shows have been around forever.
Oh, forever.
My
Julie
dad
Child.
used to watch Justin Wilson, the Cajun cook, all the time. I love him. He's the reason I think that I love Cajun food, to be honest with you, because I went through a little stint of trying to cook Cajun and trying to cook Southern when we lived in Myrtle Beach and learned all those recipes. But so I wanted to try to eat healthier, and I learned this recipe on television, and it's a meatloaf that has feta cheese and sun-dried tomatoes in it, and it's amazing. The kids loved it. Like, it was a hit. It was 10 out of 10. But when Scott told me who he thought the person was, I giggled for days.
Gita de Laurentiis.
Gita de Laurentiis, or
Giada, as she's properly known.
As the rest of the world.
Where I come from, it's Gita.
Gita, but that's just a fun story for. But yeah, that recipe is good, and I actually just looked it up not too long ago, and it's still on her old blog, so you can look up Giada de Laurentiis's meatloaf made with. Oh, and it is also made from turkey meat, so it makes it like super healthy. It's good.
Yeah, it's very good. But again, speaking of dried tomatoes. So my love of food doesn't only extend to cooking it and preparing it, but it extends to growing it.
Yeah.
That's how I earned the nickname Big Country. It's my big garden.
In the middle of the hood. We literally live in the city in a residential area, and
I'm thinking about getting a tractor. That's what I'm saying.
We have like a half acre of yard, and and he's turned
right now
it
it's
into
only 25% garden, but when I'm done, my goal is 80.
It's a farmette.
But
and I want to build a greenhouse.
and then of course, I like can all my stuff and do all that nonsense, freeze stuff, can it. And that's how much I love it. I love not only growing it. I like to take it from my yard to my mouth. That's how
farm to table. That's why he's Big Country.
That's why I'm Big Country. That's exactly right. Now, so this begs an interesting question, though: is what is your favorite food? You're dying. What last meal? What is it?
That's a toughie, but I mean, honestly, it's crab. Like king crab meat.
That's a good choice. You know,
I don't even need butter.
If I'm leaving this world, I want one last slice. Pizza.
Of pizza.
And I want...
Speaking of which, I have 2 pieces in the microwave. I forgot that I heated up.
Oh, oops. I ate pizza last night. How do you think about that?
Foxes. And we haven't had foxes in forever, though. It was
years.
Good.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not afraid. Some people that love pizza...
They like stick to the same one all the time.
Well, that's not what I was going to say. They like to shit on the chains. But not me. I incorporate the chains into my variety, but I just want to give a special shout out though for our Johnstown listeners.
Yes.
My favorite pizza in Johnstown.
Hands down.
JR Sports Den.
JR Sports Den.
Craig takes time and love is in that pizza.
First of all, they're just the nicest people you will ever meet, but they're really, really, really honestly care about the food and what they put out.
And I've had it 3 times in the last month.
That's how much we love it. But yeah, I wasn't really a pizza fan when you and I got together.
Right, and I'm a pizza fanatic.
I'll
eat any pizza. Frozen, shitty dollar pizza. Yeah. Sign me up. The only ones I don't care for are those Mama Celeste or something.
Yeah.
I don't like those, but I do like the Totino ripoffs at the store brands. I'll eat those all day. I don't care. I love those.
So I don't eat ketchup bread. But yeah.
I love ketchup chips.
When we talk about where we're going to order pizza from, if we already know it's not a chain, because we do switch up all the time. JR's is like the only place that I'm like, yeah, I really want JR's.
That's our Johnstown local food shout out. No, but so let me ask you this. So of all the different places that we've gone to on trips, what would you say was your favorite restaurant that we visited? Maybe not favorite restaurant, but like favorite thing that you had at on one of our trips.
Oh, favorite thing I've had on any trip because it was new to me was the pumpkin soup at Finn McCool's in Philadelphia. Yeah, I mean
that pumpkin soup changed my life. That's all I'm gonna say because I'd never had pumpkin soup before.
Yeah, we went out to Philly just rando weekend. We like to day trip a lot, and it was around your birthday, I believe. It was 2011.
I'm just saying that because I don't know if that place is there or not. But regardless of any of that, this pumpkin soup, I didn't even know you could make a soup out of pumpkins. First off, and then when I tasted it, I was like, how could it even be good? I don't like pumpkin like that. I mean, I like pumpkin. I don't dislike pumpkin.
Right. But
I don't ever actively seek a pumpkin flavor. Pumpkin pie, that's about the extent of my pumpkin enjoyment.
He's not one of those basic white bitches that likes pumpkin spice coffee.
Yeah, I don't like that. And so I was hesitant of the pumpkin soup, but it had like some fresh cream in it and some bacon. The bacon flavor that came through. Oh my God. I just can't even describe to you the savoriness of this soup. So much so we called the chef out of the kitchen.
No, we didn't call him out.
No, we told the waitress. And she brought him out because she was like, tell him what you think of this shit.
It was amazing.
Because we were so talking about it.
We were like weirdo, like
we're
gushing.
like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
It was.
Who made this? They brought out some kid named Chris that just happened to be working at.
No, it was the actual chef.
It was the actual guy that made it. It was delicious though. But
okay, so what would yours?
What would mine be? I'm gonna go with. It was because first off, you know how much I love chicken sandwiches. Mm. You know where I'm going with this.
I do know where you're going.
Joyland in East Nashville. The best chicken sandwich I've ever eaten in my entire life. It was just mind melting.
But we could go down category lists because, like,
for sure, I could sit here and name. You could give me a topic, give me a category. I'll name the
best burn ends.
Best burn ends. Chubbies. And I don't know. I can't speak for the current 15 years ago. 15 years ago. But because that's the thing is a lot
where
of these
are they at? Emmitsburg, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no. If we're referencing a place, because places go through changes of ownership, different cooks.
Right.
And we say that all the time. Like, even when you visit fast food places, it depends on who's working. You know what I mean? You can go to a McDonald's and have a great experience if somebody takes the time and the love to make that burger correctly. It's delicious.
So there's one place that I'm going to forget the dang name of. Where did we stay in the Outer Banks with your parents last time? It was that cafe.
Rodanthe. It was in Rodanthe. I don't know the name of the cafe.
I think it was called the Rodanthe Cafe, maybe,
I don't think
or something like that, right? But they had that grilled mahi wrap. It had cheddar and grilled onion on it.
I know. You've been talking about it ever since. Every time I fry up tuna on the Blackstone, she's got me trying to recreate this legendary wrap that she had in Nights in Rodanthe.
It was amazing.
Rodanthe.
Amazing. But
that's a good question. Rodanthe? It is Rodanthe.
But I'm just a huge seafood fan. That's my go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love seafood too, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, I love underwater bug meat. But no, I mean, well, and that's part of my dream is I would love to go go to Maine, eat some fresh lobster. I mean, I've had lobster obviously,
sure,
but not in Maine.
Right.
Not from some guy selling it out of his boat.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Or like go to Louisiana and eat some fresh shrimp. Although we did have some fresh shrimp when we were in the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
Some like caught local, shrimp, which was
we
amazing.
cooked a lot down there too. We cooked a lot of seafood down there.
We were Dan and Linda's personal chefs.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about, though. I mean, here's another big category of food that people talk about a lot is wings. We're going to have wings later today. Believe it or not.
Sunday fun day.
Pierce
We're having
Wingdings, which are the best wingdings.
Yeah, that's the name brand, Pierce.
Yeah.
And I think that Schwann's originally carried them. I don't know how we got turned on to them, but so it's weird because in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and I don't know if this is true of other places, but in the late 80s, early 90s, we had wing nights in Johnstown, but they weren't buffalo wings. They were breaded wings. And we have hand-breaded wing competitions here. And there are some places that
I will say is like, yeah, that's another thing is like down there, you know what is crazy is like, so where I grew up, there's almost none of that breaded wing thing going on, but there is a lot of fried chicken going on.
True.
Which you don't have in Johnstown.
No.
Which is another weird thing. They have fried chicken wings, like breaded chicken wings. It's like fried chicken. But there's not a lot of places to get fried chicken around here. Whereas where I'm from, you can go to 20 different places. You can go to like all the Amish markets that have it, all the little gas stations. Everybody's got fried chicken.
And it's good homemade fried chicken.
Yeah, it's good fried chicken.
But you can't bring up fried chicken without bringing up the best fried chicken that I've ever had. And I'm not saying there's not better out there. I'm just talking about that I've had personally a million times in my life.
If we're just talking numbers, Royal Farms.
If you've never had Royal Farms chicken, you need to go
to Maryland and get it.
Yeah, because that's primarily where they are.
Yeah. I mean, they are starting to branch out into some other areas. I mean, well, there's ones in like Virginia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Delaware, Virginia, the DMV, as they say. That's where they are.
Right. But yeah, they need to
But they're actually some in Pennsylvania now because, you know, there's one in Gettysburg, there's one in Hanover. Sure. So they're starting
over to the west.
They're entering the fray. They're entering throwing their hat in the ring with Sheetz, Wawa, and Rutter's. Which, speaking of, so we're from Pennsylvania. So this is a great debate. Everybody calls it the Sheetz Wawa debate. I say, nah, fuck both them.
Right.
Rudders
is number one in my book, and we are getting one in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. It's opening soon, and
I suggest you go.
If you've never been to a Rudders, I recommend starting with their coffee because their coffee bar is the best coffee bar of any.
Just all it is it's just a better Sheetz. Mm-hmm. It's just a better Sheetz. There's nothing else crazy about it. It's just a better Sheetz. The food's better. The coffee's better. And
they may or may not have a casino attached.
Yeah. Like a little casino attached to it. Like, it's pretty wild.
It's real wild.
A 777. What do they call it? 777 room?
Yeah, something like that. Who knows?
777.
But yeah, I mean, Rudders is awesome. Royal Farms chicken is hands down the best.
Royal Farms chicken is... Well, Royal Farms Food and Wine magazine said it was the best gas station fried chicken in America.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Or best like fried chicken. I don't know about best fried chicken because I'm sure there's some fancy schmancy restaurant that they're giving that to. But in terms of just fried chicken from a place, Royal Farms is it, man.
But going back to wings for a second, when you think about breaded wings, again, JR Sports Den. Hands down.
Fabulous. Yeah.
And they're hand breaded.
Yeah. I would say that too. I mean, if we're talking Johnstown restaurants, I would put that up there too.
The bistro is a close second.
Cherished Sports Den is underrated as far if you like.
It is underrated.
As a food place.
As a food place.
As a food place, you kid me? In Johnstown, it's my favorite. Now, let's get into, we did a little Sheetz, Wawa. Let's rank them. I'm going to rank them real quick here for you. In my order, if I was looking at Sheetz, Rudders, Wawa, Royal Farms, I'm going Rudders, Wawa. Rudders, Royal Farms, Wawa, Sheetz.
Yeah, I would go the same exact order. I thought we were different in the middle, but yeah.
Well, because Rural Farms beats out everybody but Rutter's just on, that's how good the chicken is.
That's how good the chicken is.
It doesn't matter about anything else.
And they have good coffee too.
Yeah, well, yeah, they do have some, it's nice in other ways. They do have good.
Can you tell we travel?
Now, let's get into another Pennsylvania debate. Sub, hoagie, grinder. Now, I mean, people, because Philadelphia has a big footprint as far as like hoagies go because of being right next to New Jersey. That all spilled over into the great, food debate of Pennsylvania, which and I don't know, it just depends on where you're at as to what they're calling it, whether it's a hoagie, but people get really upset about this. There's whole Facebook groups dedicated to what goes on a freaking hoagie. It's actually ridiculous. And I'm a foodie, and I get tired of it because it's like, I say whatever you like, that's you. Eat it. You're the one eating it. Who cares what other people
think
should be on it? As far as these people that are like traditionalists and say, you can't have mayo in Italian hoagie, we'll blow it out your ass, son.
There you have it, folks. Blow it out your ass.
I get angry about this.
But so they're very different. Subs in Johnstown are very big, long contraptions with
22 inches long.
Yeah, they're.
But yeah, no, I mean, every place has their variation, and it's an interesting debate because, I mean, everybody eats subs all over the country, but nobody's, and those names have spilled over into, other places. The term hoagie, the term hoagie, it comes from like out in, Philadelphia.
But let's talk about the best. I think we agree on the best sub or hoagie we've ever had.
Romeo's, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania.
That still exists
circa
today.
1985 to 1994.
Because they had homemade bread.
Well, not only did they have bread, they had bread that was otherworldly. They were doing bread magic in that place.
Some type of fried Puerto Rican flatbread.
What were you referring to? The best place that has subs?
Turtles.
Oh, Turtles! Shout out Hagerstown, Maryland. Is my favorite because of one thing. Well, two things: the seasoned lettuce and the sweet peppers. They make the sweet peppers in house. That's the real.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing that really sets them apart from other.
Well, if you're a sweet pepper fan, but the seasoned lettuce is something that I've never experienced in my life until I met you.
Right. Now I've been spreading that love all over Pennsylvania with the seasoned lettuce.
Yeah.
And teaching people every time I meet them, and I find an opportunity to educate them.
We do.
Because people know me as a great sandwich maker. I'm a sandwich connoisseur. I don't know if you've ever seen the episode of King of Queens where Danny... He's like a sandwich master, and so like,
oh yeah,
he gets backed into this business. That's how I feel. Like I'm a sandwich. Like I study.
I think my dad would want to throw his hat in the ring on that one. You've heard of the Skibo sub?
I've allegedly heard of the Skibo. I've heard of the alleged Skibo sub that he's always like, every time I make subs, I take a whole loaf of Italian bread and I
my
get
dad's
8
not
pounds
Italian.
of deli meat and I put it on this sub and I do it all up and it's like this thick. And I've never seen one. In 15 years we've been together, I've been hearing about these things and I've yet to eat one. We live next door. They've brought me 17 different M subs. And I've yet
to... 3 on the same day at one time.
3 on the same day at one time. And here I sit.
And you've never had
I've never had one of her dad's legendary subs.
So he's going to, in his brain, remain the king on that. However, it's a great segue, speaking of my father, to talk about breakfast food. Because my dad also, you've had some of his legendary breakfasts.
I have. And also at this same time, well, I'm going to talk about that real quick, but then I'm going to bring up another thing. Your dad's breakfast is amazing. So the routine for Johnstown used to be when we lived other places and we would come back to visit her parents. we would usually be out with her sister and brother like the night before partying. We'd be at the bar or doing karaoke, whatever. So we get home late, wake up hungover the next day. And her dad would always make tons of eggs, toast, bacon, sausages.
Why Scott turns Italian every time he's talking about food, I have no clue, but
because it just comes out in you. It oozes out of you with these salted meats. You can't help but talk like that. It just puts a little snazz in your voice. No, but he made, like it would have all the fixings of a great, just greasy, like skillet fried breakfast.
Yeah.
And speaking of greasy skillet fried breakfasts after nights of drinking, this is at the time that I'd like to bring up one of my favorite food establishments, the great and powerful Waffle House. Shout out Norm, my stepdad, God rest his soul. He tried to spread Waffle Houses to the Northeast. He worked his damnedest. Every time we went to a Waffle House, he would say, you guys need to get one of these up and wherever. Finally, they got some in the area up where we were from, and he was a happy camper. But you couldn't go on a trip with him without him mentioning every Waffle House, pointing out every Waffle House along the way. And then when he got Alzheimer's, that's when the real fun began with the Waffle, because it was Waffle House. He loved talking about Waffle House.
It was awesome. And it's fun, and it's a great memory that every time we pass a Waffle House, we just shout out.
We laugh because not only did he do it to me, like obviously growing up and embarrassing me, this is how much he loved Waffle House. Every Christmas day, we ate breakfast at the Waffle House.
Yes.
We would go in Christmas morning and eat at the Waffle House. That was our Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
And we did it like the whole time. Even after we like grew up and moved out, we would meet at Waffle House for breakfast.
Yeah.
On Christmas morning.
Which is amazing because who wants to cook on Christmas morning when
right, and it's actually like it's busy. Like people that love Waffle House on Christmas morning, no. And we
so much
so that there's a song about it. You can go look it up. Just look up Waffle House Christmas. It's a real country song, like a legitimate real country song.
I think we both cracked up and cried the day that because we were coming home from being over that way. We were coming back to Johnstown from Franklin County, and we heard that play, and we both like just laughed and cried. It was cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. But yeah, Waffle House is fantastic. I love any 24-hour breakfast establishment, like 24-hour IHOP.
Yeah.
IHOP is like Waffle House is like stupid uppity bitch sister.
But if any of my high school friends are listening at all, they'll remember when Eaton Park used to have a late night breakfast
That's
buffet.
A Western Pennsylvania thing. I had never been to an Eaton Park till we got here, so that's another Western Pennsylvania staple. They love their Eaton Park.
We do, but we had the late night breakfast buffet, so we'd all go out drinking, and then for whatever, less than $10, if we still had beer money left over, we would get pancakes and bacon.
And in the South, there's a chain, Huddle House.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're 24 hours, but I've definitely eaten them pretty early in the morning.
Not to be confused with the strip club in West Virginia called the Huddle Club.
Speaking of Norm. No, the first time when we were kids, so there's a chain of restaurants in the South called the Huddle House. There used to be a strip club in West Virginia called the Huddle Club. And we were like 8. And we went with my dad and my stepmom on a trip, and we stopped at the Huddle House. We went to Myrtle Beach. And we stopped at the Huddle House for breakfast. And when we were telling Mom and Norm about the story when we got home, Norm was like, there's a strip club in West Virginia called the Huddle Club. Is that where you had breakfast? Yeah, because they took us to a strip club for breakfast. Although the Huddle Club did have steak and egg specials.
That's a food anomaly that I can't even wrap my brain around is food at strip clubs.
Right. Like you're sitting there watching women, you're like, yeah, I could go for a steak, some potatoes, some green beans, and some ranch dressing.
I'll take it rare.
Right? It's just so weird. Like, it's a very strange thing.
Yeah.
To be sitting there and you're like sitting there with your buddies eating some eggs. Huh, look at her tits. It's so strange.
But that's a good way to.
But they there's some strip clubs. I mean, I don't know, but I've heard people say that, like,
he knows.
No, because they're not anywhere any place that I've ever been. But like, they talk about certain places like in Vegas that are known for like their steak and egg specials, or
right? Something
like that, where the food is actually like legitimately good at the strip club.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. But that's speaking of quirky shit like that. Let's talk about. So my girl Bambi at work introduced me to a place that I must have their Eggs Benedict sandwich from. It's called Egg Slut. And I just want to say that a bunch of times. It's in California.
Oh.
Egg Slut, Egg Slut, Egg Slut. I love it. But there's also, so there's a diner in London, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I think it's
Karen's Diner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Karen's. I did add it to the list. Thank you.
Well, not just there, but like there's some places like Ed DeBevick's in the United States that do this.
Yeah. So at DeBevick's, if you're not familiar, they insult you, right? The waiters insult you. The servers, the service is shitty. I don't know. I've never been there.
No, they're not. They're just, they say mean things.
It's
like meant to be a comedy thing. People
right.
know. There's various institutions across the United States that are known for this so-called mean waiter.
Just think of Matt Rife was your server at a food place.
Why? He doesn't really insult people too much.
Crowd work.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But no, and that Karen's place does something similar, but I'm like, even if somebody insulted me in a British accent, I don't know if I would know that it was happening.
I would say it's more like if Jeff Ross was your waiter.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? Because they're going to roast you.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're roasting you.
Yes. And then your good friend Dusty Slay, is he the one that went to Biscuits and Porn? Did he bring that up? Oh, no, he was just talking about buying coffee from strippers.
Yeah, there was a coffee club at like a little coffee bar outside a strip joint. Yeah, no. Biscuits and Porn, you're just thinking of, that's a store in the Outer Banks that sells biscuits
and porn.
They're old school. They got magazines.
Yeah.
Get a club magazine.
I don't know. I've never been in there, but I've heard their biscuits.
We didn't have been in there. We just saw it. We were like, hey, Biscuits and Porn. And then we looked it up, and they have good reviews for their biscuits. People really they love it. They love a little biscuit and porn.
I don't know if they're reviewing the porn on there, though.
No, just the biscuits.
All right. What else is on our list, babes?
I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we've just about covered all of it, unless you want to talk about fad diets.
No, I don't want to talk about fad diets. There's going to be a whole About Me segment in my TikTok. We're getting a Peloton. Dana White, don't be mad at me, but
we still support you.
But I needed a Peloton in order to hold myself accountable, but that'll all be on my TikTok. I know you guys can't wait. So
I also want to give a shout out though to all the local markets out there, all the little hole in the wall joints serving hoagies and pre-prepared salads, pre-made ham salad sandwiches, baking their own bread and cinnamon rolls, making their own fried chicken and homemade meatballs. Well, yeah, that's a great one, but there's so many of them.
Ooh, let's talk about Rocky's Angry Pizza Man for a real quick second.
Let's talk about how every town has a pizza guy that really engages on Facebook or like Instagram or whatever. Because I've noticed that every town, here's the thing is I belong to a lot of different Facebook groups that are specific to
towns that we know
or go to frequent a lot and their pizza. And every town has one of these. Maybe they even have multiple, but there's like an angry Italian guy that cannot take
real Italian, like accent.
I mean, if you criticize them, and I mean this in the best way possible, I don't want Rocky on my bad side.
No, we love Rocky's Pizza.
And they deserve. But the thing is there's. And what I'm going to say is, in every town, There's an Italian pizza guy that tells customers like it is.
Yeah.
Like when they're dicks, you're like, he'll be like, fuck you. No soup for you. No soup for you. And like he'll snatch it back across the counter and you're not getting it. Very soup Nazi-ish.
But Rocky's comes up with some crazy creations that it's like on the fly.
They'll knock your socks off. Shout out Rocky's Pizza in Cascade, Maryland.
Yes.
You are doing the damn thing out there.
And your Facebook posts are entertaining.
Yeah, and you're the best. Keep on telling those people about themselves because the customer is not always right.
Well, I get his passion though, because clearly from what you see him putting out, his food is his art.
Right. That's exactly right. People that care about their food that much are going to react like that. I like that.
Absolutely.
I don't want a happy, well-adjusted cook back there.
No.
I want him, a drinking problem.
Hopefully did 6 years in prison.
Exactly. Yeah.
At least one sleeve of tattoos. At least.
For sure. He definitely still smokes cigarettes.
May or may not be on either heroin or fentanyl.
Yeah, anything. You can do anything. I want my cook with his life fucked up. I don't want a well-adjusted...
I don't want some kid whose parents paid for him to go to culinary school cooking my fucking food.
I don't want some douchebag cooking my fucking cheesesteak, okay?
Oh, speaking of cheesesteaks, real quick shout out. I wish I knew his name. I'm going to butcher it. It's a African name in Pittsburgh. We were at Parkway Theater the other night, and his
name was Mustafa something or other.
Yes,
I have it on my Venmo.
That fucking cheesesteak was hands down.
It was so good. It was just, we were at one of my comedy things at Parkway. Shout out Parkway Theater, McKees Rocks. He's got like a little thing. It's basically like a food truck, but it's inside the like bar.
Right.
And it's just like a little flat top and like a thing. And he's just got a couple menu items. But let me tell you what, his cheesesteak was right up there with one of the best cheesesteaks I've ever eaten.
Yeah, I don't like a greasy cheesesteak, and I'm very, very, very particular about the meat. It has to be a certain texture.
It was seasoned perfectly.
Oh, let's talk about those fried potatoes that he had.
He was black. Of course he was seasoning correctly. I mean...
I season. No, that is true though. No. Oh my God. I'm
saying that they pre-season. When you go to a restaurant, I don't like having to add salt.
Agree.
Or other stuff.
Agree.
So like I like it to be seasoned. I hate when something is like deliciously cooked but has no real flavor.
Right.
Like a chicken with no seasoning. A chicken breast with no seasoning. Right. It's bland.
Right. Agree. But these potatoes were seasoned perfectly. The meat was seasoned perfectly.
Yeah, that's what makes so many good things. The bread was good.
There was something else I wanted to shout out too when we were just talking about that. But I think we're good to wrap up.
Sure.
An hour in. Well, no, maybe not quite.
An hour and 2 minutes.
Oh, no. I do have two more subjects real quick. So it is about to be holiday season.
Well, that's another thing. Seasonal foods.
Yes.
The foods that come back every year at the same time. And now we're entering into we've been grilling and chilling all summer long.
We have.
In the summer, I grill. Every time I'm making dinner, it's grilled chicken, steak, shrimp. Veggies, whatever. It's outside cooking.
Yes.
I take full advantage of the good weather for outside cooking.
Yes.
But now we're getting into the time. It's football season. We're partway through. It's getting cold. There's a chill in the air. We're going to hit the 30s this week. Oh, God. And so now it's time so I cook all summer, basically. Now, now you'll be taking over. The cooking.
Yeah, because obviously...
Well, not all of it, but, for the most part, because you are more the soup maker, the pot pie,
traditional casserole.
Yeah,
1950s housewife cooking is what
wholesome,
I'm good at.
Yeah, hearty.
I look corn-fed. There's a reason. But yeah, so we're definitely we're going to do a Thanksgiving episode. We're not going to talk about the food so much because everybody does the same damn foods for Thanksgiving. I'm not even worried about, we all do the same thing. Let's be real.
Right.
If you're Italian, you might throw some lasagna in there. We get it.
Right. You might have some rigatoni if you're Italian with your Thanksgiving meal. But what I love about Thanksgiving though is, yeah, everybody has the same things, but all Thanksgiving meals are not created equal.
No, they are
not by any means. I like a good I like the seasoning. I like the stuff that tastes good. I don't want to go to bland old Blanche's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and so like my stuffing, for instance, that was passed down to me from my mother. The key is a fuck ton of butter.
And the perfect example is like Grandma Fliggle. The stuffing at Grandma Fliggle's is good. But it's not at the level of what we're eating up here.
And what do we always look forward to when we go out there? Her cranberry relish. Her
homemade cranberry relish.
Fruit salad, which is hands down, I can't even tell you, like, I don't know how you can make fruit salad any different or better. I've never tasted better fruit salad than his grandmother Fliegle's.
Because she puts bananas in it.
That's part of it.
I mean, it's just canned fruit salad, but she adds extra grapes and extra banana, and adds banana and extra grapes.
I think she adds a little
pineapple.
Something.
Well, no, there's pineapple in it. But.
Yeah, but it's just amazing. And your Grandma Reed's biscuits, of course.
They weren't biscuits. They were rolls.
Rolls, sorry.
And it was some of the best bread you'll ever eat in your life.
Yeah. But the reason why...
But I'm just saying, like, different people, like you try different things at different Thanksgivings, and some are good, some aren't.
And the reason why I was even bringing up, like, the whole holiday thing is because I do bake.
I loved holiday baked goods.
I hate it some years. I love it some years. When my kiddo comes home, she came home last year and helped, and we got through a lot, so it was fun. Not that Scott doesn't help. He will, but that's, like, my domain, and I don't really...
Baking.
I don't like him around.
I love cooking, but baking... Like baked goods, pastries, breads is not my thing. I don't really do it. I like that because it's not the foods that I love to eat. I do like eating them. And obviously I gobble up everything that you're making.
Yeah. But
it's just the one thing that I'm not really into making.
Just eating. No, it's just fine eating. Though, because and I've gone through phases. I tried, but the reason why I'm bringing all that up is because if you have not ever visited the PA wedding cookie table spot on Facebook, go check it out. That's what we're known for, like some really intricate cookies over here in Western Pennsylvania, not just those fancy iced thingy dingies. We make all kinds, and they're just days worth of work, days. And we've got a wedding coming up soon, and we're going to get some of those.
Cookies.
Yes. And they were on the wedding cookie table site. So a bunch of my cousins are getting married over the coming year and a half. And so we're going to get lots of Pennsylvania wedding cookies.
I can't wait.
But for me, wrapping it up, I think there's two movies that if I want to just wax nostalgic about cooking and growing up, and just, there's two movies that always get me in the mood to cook or bake or whatever, no matter what.
Good Burger? No, I'm teasing.
I'm teasing. I don't even like that movie.
I know.
No. One is, you're probably not even thinking of this one, but Feast of Seven Fishes.
Yeah, that's a good one. Very good.
The whole concept behind that movie brings me right back to...
That's an excellent food movie. It's not a food movie, but it's an excellent movie that has food in it that makes it's like... It makes you nostalgic about those moments.
Yeah, it really does. If you're a Gen Xer, especially if you grew up in the Midwest or in Western Pennsylvania, Feast of Seven Fishes really like hits home. But it's a good story of how food brings people together. And then the other one, which is not so touchy-feely, pull on your heartstrings, is Goodfellas.
Yeah, there's only a couple scenes in there that specifically tie. When they're cooking at the end... Oh, the cutlets, baby, the cutlets.
But when I'm thinking
But
about...
like also when he's shaving the garlic, when they're cooking in prison, that's iconic.
It's iconic.
Shaving the garlic with a razor, he cuts it so thin that it just like disappears in the oil. Just melts into the oil or something. He says something like that.
It's so good. But it's just another good depiction of how there's always food no matter where you're at or what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a central story, which is why I would also like to call out The Big Bang Theory has some of the best looking cafeteria food in the history of television. I just want to say that.
Yeah. What's the guy's name that produces
Chuck Lorre.
Yeah, Chuck Lorre.
He always makes sure that there's good food in there because it's also in Young Sheldon.
Yeah, the devil's in the details,
and
man.
It's probably going to be in the new George and Mandy's First Wedding. So
yes.
It comes out this Thursday.
I'm so excited about that. So, do you have any parting words of wisdom for us today?
I would like to offer up one quote here. And when you compare yourself to others, you only insult yourself. And that was said.
I'm cutting it out.
Why?
No, this is a food episode.
I said it wasn't about food or trash.
No.
That'll be fun, but that'll come back for next time. Just remember that.
I don't want to get canceled.
Just remember that. If you compare yourself to others. But I do have one good food quote, I'm sure, if I just think about it here for a second. This week's quote is brought to you by the great Leslie Jordan. Or as my co-host likes to say, Leslie B. Jordan. Well, I guess every garbage can has its lid.
There you go. Ooh, I love that quote.
See ya.